want to start today by describing a feeling. And I think some of you are going to feel a little exposed because I'm about to describe something you felt 100 times and most likely never said out loud. You get invited to an event, a dinner, a mixer, a founder's night, something for women in business, and you're generally excited. You block the calendar, you figure out what to wear, you walk in ready to connect. And then, the second you walk through the door, something shifts. You put on a face, you mask, you start working the room. You're handing out your little soundbite about what you do, collecting cards you already know you'll never follow up on, and scanning the room for who you're supposed to meet. And then 3 hours later, you drive home, exhausted. Not the good kind of tired, the hollow kind, the kind where you spent the whole night around people and somehow feel more alone than when you walked in. I want you to know something. That's not your fault, and it's also not a sign that you're bad at networking. It's a sign that the room was never built for the type of conversation you truly need. Welcome back to the Manifest and Chill podcast. My name is Tracy Ftacek. I'm a serial entrepreneur, 7-figure tech founder, and business strategist for high-achieving women founders who are building something they can eventually walk away from. And today's episode is a little different. Usually I'm here giving you strategy, how to systematize, how to scale, how to build a business that doesn't collapse the second you step away from it. And we'll get back to that in the next episode. But today I want to talk about something I built that has nothing to do with revenue and everything to do with what I think a lot of us are actually starving for. It's called Dinner for 8. And by the time you finish this episode, I think you're going to understand exactly why it exists. And you might recognize yourself in it too. So let's get into it. I'm going to do this in 3 parts. I'm going to talk to you about the pain. I'm going to talk about the problem. And I'm going to tell you and invite you into what I built to fix it. So let's begin with the pain. Let's talk about that first, because I think it's bigger than networking events. Here's the truth about being a high-achieving woman who has built something. The further you climb, the lonelier it gets. And nobody warned you about that part. When you're starting out, you're surrounded by people, other founders in the trenches, the community of women, all working to figure it out together. There is camaraderie in that struggle. But then you start to succeed. You scale. You hit milestones. And slowly, and this is the key, so slowly you barely notice it happening, the rooms change. Now you're the one people pitch to. You're the one people want something from. You walk into a room and you can feel it. Everyone's running the calculation. What can she do for me? How do I get on her calendar? And what's the angle? So you do what every accomplished woman learns to do. You armor up. You keep it light. You give the polished version. You become impressive because impressive is safe. And impressive keeps the room at a comfortable distance. But here's what it's costing you. You stop being known. You can be in rooms full of people every single week and not have a single real conversation. Sure, you can be celebrated, you can be followed, you can be admired. We've all felt that. But then you still drive home at night feeling like nobody actually saw you. That is painful. And if you just felt a little catch in your chest, yeah, that one, that's what we're talking about today. So there's the problem. And this is where I want to put my strategist hat on for a second, because I think the why matters. The lie we've been sold is that the answer to professional loneliness is more. More networking, more events, more connections, more followers, build a bigger audience, get in more rooms, expand your circle. And I've fallen for that too. And so that's what we do. We say yes to the dinners, the masterminds, the conferences, the mixers. We optimize the fuck out of our networking. And we can work a room harder than anyone else. And it does work. I'm not going to say that this isn't important. There is a place and a time and an importance to that. We become more connected than any generation of women in business have ever been. But we're also lonelier than ever. Here's the truth. The problem was never the quantity of the rooms. It was the design of the rooms. Almost every space built for women in business is built around transaction. Networking is, by definition, transactional. You go to get something. A lead, a client, a connection, a collaborator, a name. Even the best intentioned events are structured around exchange and what you can do for each other. And there is nothing wrong with that. Transactional spaces serve a real purpose. And I am not anti-networking, but you cannot get connection from a space designed for transaction. It's like going to a hardware store and being disappointed they don't have produce. You're in the wrong building for what you need. What we're missing isn't more rooms. It's a different kind of room. A room with no transaction in it at all. A room where the entire point is the conversation, not what the conversation can get you. That room basically doesn't exist for women at our level. So I built it. I built Dinner for 8, and it is exactly what it sounds like. 8 women, 1 table, 1 evening. Here are the rules, because the rules are very different, and they're the product. There is no networking. There is no pitching. There is no business cards. There's no promoting what you do. If 2 women want to connect afterwards, that's beautiful. I'll make the introduction myself privately. But at the table, really none of it. There's no agenda, no panel, no name tags, no icebreakers. Oh, I have to tell you, that's my favorite part, by the way. I loathe the standard icebreakers. There's no sponsor pulling you aside, and there's no swag bag with someone's logo on it. It's just 8 women who have built something real at a beautifully set table and 1 real conversation. Every dinner opens with a single question, and it's not an icebreaker question, so don't get scared. This is a real one. It's a question that makes you put your fork down, the kind you're still chewing on 3 days later, because I'm not expecting an answer from that question. This is just a question of service to yourself. And from there, the conversation goes wherever the table takes it. Here's the rule that makes the whole thing work. It's kind of like Vegas. Pre-cell phone, Instagram, social media. What's said at the table stays at the table. Always. No exceptions. Because the only way 8 high-achieving women can take their armor off in the same room is if they know in their soul and bones that they are safe. That's the whole thing. It sounds almost too simple, but I'm telling you what happens when you put 8 brilliant women in a room and remove every reason to perform. It's not simple at all. It's the most alive I can see a room get. Now, let me tell you what I'm actually trying to accomplish here, because it is bigger than a nice dinner. I want to give high-achieving women back something they lost on the way up. The experience of being in a room where they don't have to be impressive, where they can stop managing the impression and just be there, where the women across the table have built what you've built, carried what you carried, and doesn't need a single thing from you except your honesty. Because here's what I believe, all the way down to the bottom of my toes. Women were never meant to do this alone. We were never meant to build empires in isolation, armored up, performing strength while privately wondering if anyone really sees us. The strength was never supposed to be the loneliness. The success was never supposed to cost us connections. Dinner for 8 is me trying to give that back, one table at a time. And what does the women that attend these events walk away with? Let me be so concrete about what this actually does for the women who come. Because I am a strategist. I don't believe in only things that feel good. This has to work. She has to walk away having been genuinely seen, maybe for the first time in months, and by women who require no explanation. She walks away with perspective, because there is nothing like hearing another woman who's 3 steps ahead of you say the quiet thing out loud. It collapses years of figuring it out alone into one dinner. The women that attend, she walks away lighter. The thing about carrying everything alone is you tend to forget you're carrying it. One real conversation and you remember you were never supposed to carry it. And she walks away connected, not to a network, but to a small number of women she'll actually still be thinking about next week. It's quality over quantity, depth over reach. 8, not 800. That's the benefit. It's not a lead. It's not a referral. It's the thing all the leads and referrals were supposed to add up to and never did. She feels less alone in the hardest, most beautiful thing she's ever built. I posted about this exact thing once, one Instagram story 10 weeks ago. I didn't run ads. I didn't build a funnel. I just asked if women wanted this. And here we are, 7 dinners scheduled in 6 cities over the next 4 months. A wait list that keeps growing. This Thursday, we sit down for the very first time. It's the launch dinner. And I think the speed of that tells you everything. It tells you I'm not the only one who's hungry for this room. It tells you that somewhere out there, a lot of brilliant, accomplished, slightly exhausted women heard no networking, no performative conversations, just real presence. And they felt that in their whole body to say yes. If that is you, I built this for you. We're currently scheduled in Chicago, St. Louis, Seattle, Dallas, San Diego, and Los Angeles this year alone. And I want to add more. If your city isn't on the list, I want you to know where to go. Go to tracyftacek.com/ dinner for 8. Request a seat or add your city, and you'll be the first to know when we come to you. I'll leave the link in the show notes below. You, my friend, well, you built something real. You also don't have to be alone in it. Come to the table. I'm Tracy Ftacek. This is Manifest and Chill, and I'll see you next time.